Hey Alien fans, welcome back to another Xenobucket. I have some more Q&As from the Alien Theory Twitter, and of course, the announcement of this month's prize winner for the Patreon Hive. Also, a cool announcement I just wanted to share with you guys. Recently, I participated in the Yutani podcast for Clara's Fan Creative Series, where we talked about this channel, how I got started, and how I go about doing videos, etc., and we discussed many interesting topics surrounding the Alien universe, the state of the prequels, the different xenomorph designs and special effects throughout the Alien series, and a lot more. It was a lot of fun, and hopefully you check it out. I'll leave a link below, as well as a link to the Yutani blog, which is a great fan resource. There's also another big announcement coming soon, which I'm still working on some details over, so stay tuned for that. But for now, let's get to some Twitter questions. And if you have a question for me that you'd like me to answer in a Xenobucket video, head over to the Alien Theory Twitter, and that's at alien_theory on Twitter. Tweet me your question using the hashtag Xenobucket. And now on to the questions. Tyler Touchdown writes, this is a question for Xenobucket. Which concept of Alien 3 would you have been interested to see before the final product was released? The William Gibson one, with Hicks as the main lead, or the Vincent Ward one, involving a wooden planet? Well, I do consider myself a fan of Alien 3, and I'd say generally I'm content with the story and where it went, though I know not a lot of people are, or it's at least a little controversial, but obviously the movie had problems and changes from just about every stage of production. So it will always be this legendary production that's full of what-ifs and what could have been scenarios. When it comes to the Vincent Ward concept with the wooden planet and the monks, I don't really feel too bad about missing out on it because it's close enough to the final version of the movie we got. In fact, Vincent Ward still receives a story credit for Alien 3. So in broad strokes, it's generally the concept they went with. And I think that the changes they made worked for the better anyway. So I'm fairly happy with how Alien 3 turned out in terms of comparing it to the Vincent Ward screenplay, so I'm not too curious about how that would have ended up. But the William Gibson script, however, that was something completely different, and it was something very fascinating to think about when it comes to what could have been with Alien 3. I think it's something worth exploring further on this channel, actually, but I'll say I think it would be very popular among fans if they decided to, say, adapt it into a graphic novel or comic series, or even, as the trend has been going, an audio drama. I think that'd be very cool. So between the two concepts, I feel like for the most part I've already seen more or less Ward's, but I'd be a lot more interested in seeing Gibson's. Thank you for your question, Tyler. Godzilla Kairu asks, if you created a fan film and could only put one canon character in it, who would you choose? That's a good question, and that's actually pretty tough because there are a lot of great characters that play off each other well. So to limit it to one, well, it has to be a really great character if we're going to make a fan film starring them. And obviously Ripley would kind of be a main choice, but I'd have to go with my gut. Like if I were to make my own fan film, I think I'd have to go with Hudson. Whether it would be something that takes place before the events of Aliens, or if there was some fan fiction way to have him survive after being pulled underneath the floor in Operations, I think that's a character worth exploring further. He's appeared in only one movie in the Alien series, yet he's still a fan favorite all these years later, over 30 years later. He's still cited as one of the best characters, most memorable characters, still constantly quoted. So if I were to make a fan film and could only choose the one canon character, it would have to be the ultimate badass, Hudson. Thank you for your question. Travis asks, what do you want to see in the next Alien game? Above all else, Travis, I want to see a good story, and I want it to contribute to the lore of the Alien series rather than contradict it or ignore it or just do its own thing. That's what Alien Isolation did so well. Its story was compelling, and including Amanda Ripley as the main character, it was kind of a risky move when you think about it. Like, it could have been seen as like really hokey and not fitting in too well. But they pulled it off, and it fit extremely well with the continuity of the series and the lore. And a lot of people really love the Amanda Ripley character, so I think a lot of people want to see more of her just because of the characterization that they pulled off in the game. So it would be interesting to see if Cold Iron Studios, who's producing the next Alien game, being kind of super secret about it for at least right now, if they'll use her storyline in some way, in any way, even if it doesn't end up being exactly an Alien Isolation sequel, and if it's a completely different genre of game. It would be interesting to see if they included her, but the game, it could have great graphics and design and lots of action, but if it doesn't have that good story, and if it doesn't have the good characters that we come to like, I don't think it'll be worth all that much to the fan base. So that's what I'd like to see. Good story, good characters, something that Alien fans can really respond to in the way that they did with Alien Isolation. Thank you, Travis. Catherine Kruger writes, "Loved your channel for a while." Thank you, Catherine. "I saw your video on the Sulaco crew and appreciated you wanting to see more of Drake. I'd like to see a novel from his perspective, and your opinion on that." Well, my opinion is that I'm absolutely down for more Drake. He's a really interesting character, and if you mean you'd like to see a novel from his perspective, meaning the events of Aliens, from his perspective, I think that'd be something actually really brilliant, because there's this one great moment with Drake that was cut out of the movie, but remains in the script, so whether it was actually shot, I don't really know, but it's just a really tiny moment, so I bet there's footage of it somewhere in James Cameron's vault or something. But it does actually have life in Newt's Tale, the comic. It's when they first find Newt, and, he almost blasts her into oblivion, and Ripley and Hicks and everyone else, they're rushing towards her to try to save her as she's hiding in the wall. But Drake, he just stops, and he says something to the effect of, "Who cares? Let's go, leave her." And I think that says volumes about the character, and to see his perspective on things as a whole, how Aliens, at least the first half of the film, played out through his perspective, I think that would be very compelling. A sort of jaded, seen-it-all attitude, and it could be surrounded by remembrances and his own personal anecdotes and things like that, just anything that gives us a little more info on the character. So I'd love to know some stories about his days in the Corps with Vasquez, and the both of them raising hell and all that kind of stuff, and generally their relationship. So I think there's a lot to explore there. So for one thing, it was actually pretty disappointing when the short story collection Bug Hunt came out last year, and we had some good stories surrounding our favorite grunts, but nothing on Drake. So there's a lot of story to be told, and personally I would like to see it. Thank you very much for your question, Catherine. Geronimo Daniel writes, "In a parallel universe, James Cameron is not interested in Alien, but Kubrick does because of his experience in 2001. Kubrick requests to direct the sequel and is accepted as director and screenwriter. What would have happened?" Now, this is something to think about. I'm a huge fan of Stanley Kubirck. He's probably my all-time favorite director, actually, and certainly a lot of his influence can be felt in the Alien series. Ridley Scott drew a lot of inspiration from its visual style and tone for 1979's Alien, and Prometheus actually seems pretty inspired by it thematically, and 2001 is just a masterpiece, a landmark film that impacted the science fiction genre in profound ways. So could an Alien sequel made by Stanley Kubrick be something that could have worked in this parallel universe? Well, during this time, Kubrick was making his Vietnam War film, Full Metal Jacket, and this is during a time in Hollywood where a lot of movies were being made about the Vietnam War. James Cameron's story for Aliens, of course, draws many comparisons to the war, and many see it as an allegory for Vietnam. So one may wonder if Cameron's treatment for Aliens was this unique, specific thing to do, or if it was using a certain Hollywood trend at the time to its advantage in order to tell his story. And would the whole Vietnam allegory have emerged either way, regardless of the director? That's something to think about. During this time in his career, Kubirck, as I understand, was eager to make a war movie, not something like Dr. Strangelove, seen through the safety of the war room of a somewhat secure military base, but deep in the shit of it, the heart of the war, the grunts, the boys next door who signed up or were drafted and were molded for one purpose, to kill. Kubirck never made the same movie twice, so I think in this parallel universe, a Kubirck-directed version of Aliens may actually have been close to James Cameron's Aliens and his own Full Metal Jacket, as opposed to being similar to 2001. Both movies are actually kind of similar in certain ways when you think about it, at least in their approach to the military. There's a feeling of authenticity to both, and you feel a genuine camaraderie between the soldiers, and actually both Kubirck and Cameron decided to cast real Marines to play their sergeants, so maybe in this parallel universe, Sergeant Apone would have actually been played by Arlie Aramy. Now that would have been something. So I could actually see the movie turning out similar enough to the one we got, and maybe it would be just fate, I don't know. But fun fact, both Full Metal Jacket and Aliens were filmed at the same Pinewood Studios location in Buckinghamshire, England. So there's that. Thank you very much for your question, Geronimo. And for anyone watching this video right now, if you haven't seen Full Metal Jacket, I highly, highly recommend it. It's one of the best war movies of all time, hands down. And thanks to everybody who sent in your questions. I love to answer them. It's a lot of fun. Keep them coming.
It's time for the next
Xenobucket
draw.
We're going to do the Xenobucket draw.
Find another winner from the Patreon Hive. All entries are updated, so everyone should have a fair shake at the draw. Now for this one, previously I've done download codes for the Alien movies, but this time I'm going to do something different. The winner is going to receive a copy of Alan Dean Foster's novelization of Alien. A great novel on its own, a great resource for some of the videos I make, and I wanted to share it, hopefully for someone who doesn't have it. If not, we can always figure that out. But I'm going to draw the winner for Xenobucket 3. So drum roll, please. And the winner of the Xenobucket prize is Lady Anne, our queen. Lady Anne, that's so great. Big supporter of the channel. Has a lot of entries being a queen, and the novel is yours. So if you want to message me on Patreon with address information, I'll make sure to send that to you right away. Congratulations, Lady Anne. Alan Dean Foster's Alien is coming your way.
Congratulations, Lady Anne, Queen Lady Anne, and thanks for your support of the channel. Huge thanks to all members of the Hive on Patreon. Your support truly means the world to me, and I hope these draws in some way gives a little bit back, so thank you all very much. And a very extra special thanks goes out to EmYarUk, who of course is the high-ranking WEYLAND Yutani executive of the Patreon Hive, and an all-around great guy. Thank you. I'd also like to thank our Hive's queens, Lady Anne and Kimathi Thomas. Congratulations once again, Lady Anne, for winning today's draw. And if you'd like to join the Hive and support the channel and be part of the Xenobucket draw, then follow the link on the end screen or in the video description to check out my Patreon page. And I guess that's it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. And Q&A aside, I'm always having fun on social media. I update on upcoming videos. I've been sharing fan art, putting up polls, and just in general, all kinds of other alien-related stuff, so I hope to see you there too. You can follow @alien_theory on Twitter. You can send your Xenobucket questions there if you'd like, and @alientheoryyt on Facebook and Instagram for more. And until next time, this is Alien Theory, signing off.